Hello and welcome to the behind the scenes demo of my Max8 patch project. I can talk really. So here we see the presentation mode. This is going to be the behind the scenes look. So if you haven't already watched the actual demo, it's probably worth taking a look. It's only a couple of minutes long. This thing right here is obviously our play and stop button. We can drag any video we want in here. I've chosen to make a 3-minute long loop of various star patterns and things that I found, mostly for free on the internet. Pixabay, if you're interested in the site. It feeds out to each of these note generators, synthesizers, just using the MIDI voices. You can see which voice is currently being used, and you can see the duration of the note produced. Just as a little quickie here, if I hit go, you can hear and as I change to different scenes, like this one's much brighter, whereas this one is of course much darker but more on the blue side. And of course this one's very dark. Almost no high notes in there at all. Switch to something with a lot of bright to it. And of course switch to something incredibly bright. So let's look at the behind the scenes here. Nope. Obviously, the play stop feeds into a triggering device here, which sends out bangs to each of the voices to initialize them, and sends out to a toggle to turn on the metronome for each note. Now, I've left the duration here so that you can adjust it to change the notes. The defaults are all preset. This one feeds from, or the video feeds into a video analyzer, which outputs red, green, and blue, feeds into each note. This one, the red note, obviously pulls from red. Blue note pulls from blue, green from green, so on and so forth. All of them are feeding into a velocity here, which is basically taking each one of them, all three together, averages them out, and then sends it out to the velocity on the note maker. Let's take a look at what that is behind the scenes. I created a sub patch that pulls this in, and I made this. It's just a really simple thing. Pulls in the red, the green, and the blue, scales them between 0 and 1, scales them out to between 21 and 127, which just is a good note range I found. Adds them up, divides by 3, spits out an integer, scales that between 60 and 100, and that outputs a velocity out to the program. That feeds into, as I said, the make note, which is what's actually creating the MIDI note, joins them together into a MIDI format, and spits that out into the MIDI devices. You'll notice that each one of them is on a separate channel. This is channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, and then for effects, I started at 16 and worked my way down, though there's only one that I was actually happy with. Each of these pulls in a scale from 0 to 1 and outputs, zoom a little bit so you can see that, and outputs between 21 and 127, which is the notes on the keyboard in MIDI notation. Here I have two separate blue notes, one that's pulling the regular, plays that for a couple of seconds, and then here the plus 12 means I go up one chromatic scale to play the same note one octave higher. And that one I only play half as long. This one, I was trying for some different effects, so I took the green note, and instead, everything's just the same, except that the duration pulls an average of the brightness. So basically the same deal, 0 to 1 of the brightnesses added up, divided by 3, and outputting an integer, scales it between 1/10 of a second and 2 seconds, depending on the scale from, this is actually scaling 0 to 100, and I scale from 0 to 80, just to give me a little bit more on the high side. Spits out into a duration, which feeds into the note, MIDI format, and plays it. Right now, we're on a low, short note. If we change the video to something bright, my favorite, then that outputs a much higher note for a longer duration. Oof. Hope I didn't blow your ears out. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't had a chance to watch the tech demo with the entire 3-minute video, I highly recommend it. It's amusing. If you have any questions, feel free to email or ask me, or just ask Professor. He knows all about this stuff.